Well, good morning to you. My name is Erica Riggins. Welcome to the 17th annual City of Tampa Women's History Month celebration. 17 years. When I read that, I was just, wow comes to mind when you say 17 years. But we want to move forward as we move forward through the years, and we don't want to have a Women's History Celebration Month. We want to get to the point where we're not surprised or shocked when we look at the beautiful display that's out there of some of our pioneers, our female pioneers in science and technology, right? We want to move to the point where we know who those ladies are. They're taught in the schools, they're taught at home, and that's our goal moving forward. So our theme today, as I just mentioned, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And some of you might be wondering, if you were up early this morning to watch my show at 5 a.m., you might be thinking, what made them ask? You know, oh, thank you, Mayor. We love this guy. Thank you. You might be wondering, what's Bay News 9's Good Morning News anchor do with hosting a STEM event, Women's History Month? Obviously, women's history, that makes sense, but why STEM? What made them choose her? And of course, the 12 years I've been a journalist, I've covered some technology stories over the years, obviously, right? But in 1995, I actually graduated from the University of Texas with a mechanical engineering degree. And thank you. It was hard. It was rough. When I was thinking about what to tell you, and I was like, well, you know, that thermodynamics and fluid dynamics, differential equations, those courses, they helped shape who I am today. They really helped that critical thinking. Those were tough courses, too, let me tell you. Those are the three that stood out, so those were the toughest. And while a student at Texas, I have to remember when I say UT, it's not the University of Tampa. I learned that. I've been here 7 years now. You know, at Texas, I got the chance to actually be an intern for JSC, NASA in Houston, for their automation and robotics division. That's why I'm excited to see the students. We'll talk a little bit more about their project in just a moment. When I graduated, Motorola actually hired me as an equipment engineer. I was there about 9 years before I left and made the transition from engineering and high tech to journalism and communications. But my bosses, my operations managers over the years at Motorola knew there was maybe something a little different about their young equipment engineers. So over the course of those 9 years, and a few promotions later, I ended up in communications and public affairs for Motorola. So Motorola liked the idea of hiring high-tech people even for their communications positions. And they saw that my talent was probably rooted a little bit deeper in communications than engineering. And so I'm excited to them for that, because if not for that communications and public affairs time with them, that's how I transitioned over to news. But while I was there, my job was actually to get young people like the young people we have in the back of the room, K through 12, colleges and universities. I was responsible as a manager to work with getting them interested in math and science, because Motorola, like many companies then and even now, they were really recruiting outside of the U.S., and they wanted me to tell these universities and colleges, we want to hire here in the U.S. You need to graduate more engineers. So how do you do that? You need to get more kids interested in math and science. Accept them into your universities and colleges. We'll help you pay for it, is what they said at the time. What do we need to do to help you do that so that we can decrease the number of H-1B visas? That's them recruiting for those highly paid, highly skilled, coveted jobs here in the U.S. So that was my job, my last job there at Motorola before I transitioned. That's why they asked me to work with you today. I have a little bit of a background in technology and engineering from that first career. We all have many lives, right? And I'm excited. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to be here for you today. I'm very honored. Thank you for asking me to be here. So speaking of the kids, let's go ahead and recognize what Motorola was trying to do and what so many high-tech companies are trying to do to get young people like the ones we have in the back. I want you to take a moment and I want to introduce them. The Middleton High School STEM Academy 2012 World FTC Robotics Champions. Round of applause for them. I want to call their names out. And I kind of want the young people to just come down the aisle for a moment so they can see you. They're shy. They're shy. They won't be for long, though, when we're interviewing them, because I want to introduce the team members: Sachi Shibata, Brian Newman, Jason Howard, Jonathan Roth, Corey Kinney, Adam Ward, Christian Webster. The dad/coach of this team, Bruce Newman. It is hard work what they're doing. Very smart young people. They just won the Florida State Championship. And you want to wish these young people luck. They just won the Florida State Championship. It is a very difficult competition. They're competing next month for the world title. And I had the chance back in those Motorola days to actually judge. It's part of the first for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. That's what the umbrella stands for. And it's a worldwide competition, so they're competing next month for that title. I got the chance to judge a few of those in Texas. It is like a stadium event, right? People, the young people, they're nodding? Yes. It's like a basketball game. It's like, we got March Madness coming up here. It's like a basketball game. Kids are so excited. That was the goal of FIRST, to make it exciting for young people. The way they get excited for basketball games, football games, they created a competition that does that. So you have schools from all over the country and all over the world competing with their robots. And it's something, if you get a chance to see it, take a moment and do that. So thank you guys again, Middleton High School, their STEM Academy 2012 Robotics Champions. We're wishing you luck for next month. Thank you. Catherine Frericks, I want to make sure I mention the lead teacher for magnet programs. If she can stand and wave. Thank you for guiding them. Now, 1987, some of you may be surprised to learn it was when Congress officially declared the month of March as Women's History Month. So this year's theme, we've already talked about it, inspiring innovation through imagination, and that's women inspiring innovation through imagination, celebrating women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Our program already reflects that because you've seen that with our young people here. And to begin today's celebration, I'd like to ask you all to stand. We'll have our presentation of colors by members of the MacDill Air Force Base Honor Guard. And if you could remain standing, they'll be followed by our national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, and an inspirational message.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Today, as we gather to celebrate Women's History Month, we remember those women who went before us, the grandmothers, mothers, aunts, and sisters who worked to make things better for us, who fought so we might vote and enjoy other God-given rights, pursue education and careers so that we may live the lives we choose. Help us today to build wisely on the foundation built for us by others. Thank you for all the cherished women in our lives and in our histories. God, may women across the globe continue to be empowered, knowing the love you offer. Amen.
So the inspiration continues to build for our event, correct? The young people inspired you, and then, of course, the beautiful, beautiful singing and the colors. We want to thank you all for your contributions to the celebration, and we want to take time at this moment to thank our military men and women who serve our country, protecting us every single day. I actually want to give you the opportunity to actually recognize them, just in case there's some who are not in uniform today. So if you are not in the military right now, if you can please be seated. Minimum, please, if you all remain standing, I want you guys to be noted and recognized. So thank you. Big thank you to McDaniel Air Force Base Honor Guard Senior Airman Jacqueline Holly for the beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Wasn't that beautiful? Also, thanks to Bailey Sullivan for her inspirational words. Before I tell you a little bit more about Bailey, since we had our distinguished men and women in uniform standing for us, there are a couple of more I need to have stand. The Tampa Police Department, Chief Jane Castor and her team that's here does a phenomenal job. Thank you, Chief. And Chief Forward, Tampa Fire Rescue, please stand. Some people only think about them when they need them, when they make that 911 call for help. In my job, we think about them a lot more because we're covering all of the stories all across the Bay Area when people make that 911 call for help. So that's every single day. I'm reminded of the work that they do, so thank you. Thank you for that. So let's talk a little bit about Bailey before we move forward. Bailey Sullivan, the inspirational words, our last speaker. She is a member of the class of 2013 Mayor's Youth Corps, a Tampa native. She's been homeschooled since second grade. She's also currently taking classes at HB Plant High School. Now, her favorite subjects, of course, math and chemistry. You knew the answer to that. At the age of 7, Bailey was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Now, she already understood a great deal about diabetes because her sister Kathleen had been previously diagnosed at the age of just 18 months. So though this family was saddened, like any family would be about this news, she embraced that lifestyle. She knew what to expect, the finger pricks, the injection. She embraced it with ease. It didn't slow her down. Over the years, listen to this list. She's going to make you want to just say, am I challenging myself? Listen to this. Over the years, Bailey has participated in soccer, gymnastics, dance, tennis, golf, softball, swimming, lacrosse, cross country, and track at one time or another. And in high school, she chose to focus on cross country and track. Now, she ran on Plant's varsity team this year. They placed second in the state for cross country, so no excuses from Bailey. After high school, she plans to go to college and major in finance. Her goal is then to get her MBA, or she'd like to go to law school. She's already decided either D.C. or New York City. That's where she wants to live. We got to get her to maybe think about Florida, right? We'll talk to her afterwards. Mayor, will you talk to her? Yes. We'll work on that one. She's still young. She has time to change her mind. It's cold in D.C. right now. But Bailey, we know you'll achieve any goal you set, so thank you for those words. We wish you all the best. Thank you. Now, since last year's celebration, women have achieved many new firsts. Among them, the first 2 women inducted into the Augusta National Golf Club. Also, a woman held the pole position, this is recently, at the Daytona 500 for the very first time. That's recent news. And women now hold a record 101 seats in Congress. Now, we also mourn the passing of Cecile Waterman Esserig, and yes, that is absolutely. Cecile Waterman Esserig, she was elected in 1967 to the Hillsborough County School Board. She served 21 years to this region, 21 years. She was the first woman elected to a major political office in Hillsborough County. A round of applause for her family so that we can show them how much we appreciated her work while she was with us. And now to bring us greetings on behalf of the Tampa City Council, Mayor Buckhorn, representing District 2.
Thank you, Erica. Good morning, everyone. What an honor it is for me to be able to say good morning and bring you greetings from Tampa City Council, and to sit next to Catherine Barja, who was the woman who broke the glass ceiling for myself, and for Mayor Sandy Friedman, who I don't know if she's here, and for my colleagues, Councilwoman Capine and Councilwoman Monteleone, and many of the other women who've served on City Council. Catherine was the first City Council woman to serve in the city of Tampa. So I'm just thrilled to get to meet her today, and can't thank her and the women of her generation enough for the hard work she did. She was telling me how when she ran for office the first time, there were no women's groups who got behind her and endorsed her. There were some women's groups out there, but it was such a new thing, apparently, for women to run for local office that there wasn't any kind of organization. We're so lucky now as women when we run that our sisters help us out a lot. And we always know, I think back in your time probably there were more women voting, and there still are more women voting, so you're an inspiration to all of us to continue to do what we do and to encourage our young women to do the same. I'd like to recognize my colleagues who are here today. Councilwoman, if they could stand, Councilwoman Yoli Capine, Councilwoman Lisa Monteleone, Council Chairman Charlie Miranda, and Councilman Harry Cohen. Thanks for being here, everyone. And it's my honor now to present this commendation to the committee for the Women's History Group. Women's History Month. Every year, we have a group of city employees who put together this wonderful event, and I know they've worked really hard. During Women's History Month, we recognize the national theme, Women Inspiring Innovation Through Imagination, celebrating women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Tampa strives to be a place of growth for female entrepreneurs, students, and seasoned professionals alike in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM fields. In recognition of women's progress in historically male-dominated fields, we honor the generation of women who use their intelligence, imagination, sense of wonder, and tenacity to make extraordinary contributions to the world. The members of the Tampa City Council are proud to recognize the City of Tampa Women's History Month celebration on March 19th, 2013, and to congratulate Catherine Barja, the first woman elected to Tampa City Council as the Josephine Howard Stafford Memorial Award recipient.
Thank you. And at this time, any other elected officials present, will you please stand and be recognized, because there is a time at the end of the program where people may want to chat with you and learn more about what's going on in our community. Anyone else who we did not recognize? Okay, we covered our bases. All right. Next, we've heard from our mayor, because we're working on Bailey. We're working on it. I want to introduce Mayor Buckhorn. He believes that this city's strength is in its diversity. I can remember when you were elected, that first speech, he talked about that. And he actually talked about making sure we don't send our young people to Austin, Texas, the University of Texas. That's actually where I went to school, where I grew up. And I caught that because, now I live 10 minutes from there, and then I moved. I live here now, though, 10 years ago. But, he's right. He's talking about how competitive it is. And so even then, in that first speech, I recognized his dedication to technology, because that's what he was referring to. He said, we don't want to send people to the University of Texas in Austin. We want them to stay right here. So this mayor is focused on building an environment that will move Tampa to that next level, creating a strong economic climate, emphasizing high-tech skills, making sure those high-paying jobs are here in Tampa Bay. That's what we want. Please show your appreciation for Mayor Buckhorn.
Inevitably, when I meet with the Mayor's Youth Corps, one of the first things that I tell them is that I want them to come home. Obviously, Bailey was not listening. It's good to be here. Every day in my house is celebrating Women's Day. As many of you know, and certainly Dr. Ross knows my wife, who is no shrinking violet. And you don't mess with a woman who knows how to use a scalpel. I can tell you, I can tell you that right now. I may be the only mayor in the country who gets bossed around by a 7-year-old. But it's a great pleasure. So for me, the opportunity to celebrate strong, powerful women, women of achievement, is something that I am trying to do with my 2 girls, and you have been great role models, many of you, for them as they look to you to see these barriers being broken, to see these achievements, to know that there is nothing that can stand in their way because of their gender. Kathy Barja and I coincided briefly for a number of months. I came to the city as a young aide to Mayor Sandy Friedman, a former award winner, and Kathy was chosen to fill her seat. This was in 1986. Governor Martinez, Mayor Martinez, had left early to run for governor. He was successful. Sandy took his seat because she was chairman of the city council at the time, and then subsequently won the election, and Kathy Barja served during that interim period. And the stories of Kathy are legendary. I will tell you, Kathy, when just the other day we convened the 6 living mayors. And that was an amazing picture, and that was an amazing lunch when you think about 45 years of mayors that are still alive, that are still well. Yes. And we were talking about you, Kathy, so your ears should have been burning, but it was all with a great deal of admiration and appreciation for your friendship and for your success. Charlie, I know you've served with Kathy over the years. Charlie has, obviously been a long time, and certainly the institutional memory of City Council resides in our chairman and my friend Charlie Miranda, and he had the opportunity to serve with Kathy a number of years ago. But my opportunity today is to present this proclamation. I'm not going to read it all because you're going to hear more about Kathy's accomplishments, but let me say this. Whereas after the selection by the Women's History Committee and mayoral approval, the Josephine Howard Stafford Memorial Award for 2013 is presented to Catherine Barja in recognition of her commitment to the city of Tampa and her many efforts on behalf of the citizens of our community. Whereas this recognition will be officially announced on Tuesday, March 19th, 2013, at the 17th Annual City of Tampa Women's History Month celebration to be held at the Tampa Convention Center. Now, therefore, I, Bob Buckhorn, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Tampa, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2013 as Women's History Month in the city of Tampa, and urge all of our citizens to join me in paying tribute to Catherine Barja on her selection for this honor, and to observe this month by paying special recognition in their own way to all women who have positively affected their lives. Dated in Tampa, Florida, this 19th day of March 2013. Catherine, thank you very much, and to all of you, thank you for being the role models that you are.
In this moment, we have 2 dignitaries along the same lines, previous Josephine Howard Stafford Award recipients, Kathy Betancourt and Police Chief Jane Castor. If you'll please stand for me once again and be recognized. Thank you, Mayor, for that wonderful words. And now it's my privilege to be part of the presentation, the introduction for our keynote speaker, Dr. Sharona Ross. Dr. Ross was born and raised in the state of Israel. After 2 years of military service in the Israel Defense Forces, she moved here to the United States, where she graduated Phi Beta Kappa and summa cum laude from the American University in Washington, D.C., and later Alpha Omega Alpha from the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences in Washington, D.C. Dr. Ross completed her general surgery residency at the University of South Florida College of Medicine. She was later awarded the prestigious HPB, Advanced Gastrointestinal Surgery and Minimally Invasive Surgery Fellowship at USF Tampa General Hospital. And there's more. She then completed an endoscopic gastroenterology fellowship at the Division of Digestive Disorders and Nutrition at USF. Now, Dr. Ross is currently the Director of Minimally Invasive Surgery and Surgical Endoscopy, founder and director of the FHT Women in Surgery Initiative at Florida Hospital Tampa, and the program director chair of the International Women in Surgery Career Symposium. That's for this year and for the past 4 years, I believe. So Dr. Ross, one of the first surgeons in the country to undertake laparoendoscopic single-site surgery. And I think I said that right. Okay. It's a good thing we have a medical segment in your morning news. Some of the words I've had some practice with. She continues to develop new techniques and instrumentation to improve its safety and application. And as a thought leader in American medicine, Dr. Ross continues to push the envelope in the advancement of minimally invasive surgery. Now, her perspective was actually transformed through her very personal experience as a surgical patient. That experience pushed her to write a book to help others. It's titled A Surgeon's Insight into Patient Perspective, The Day I Became a Patient. So please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Dr. Ross.
Good morning. So as you heard, my name is Sharona Ross, and I'm a woman surgeon. I'm here to tell you about my personal story. You just a second ago heard about all the different things that I've done in the past 5 years of training, but I wanted to give you a little bit more detail. Yes, I was born and raised in Israel, and in Israel, every woman and man have to go right after high school to join the military for 2 years, 2 years for women and 3 years for men. Well, I can tell you that the military was the best training or school for life. I was very deep-handed, spoiled, very mature, and was going to my parents for pretty much everything. But once you join the military, you learn very quickly that they can't help you there. And so I became very, very independent, focused, and mature. I learned how to solve problem solving, how to lead teams, and how to make it happen, even when you have very little. Just make it happen. And so after the military, also in the military, medicine there's a lot of HMO. It's an HMO system. So everybody tried to convince me not to go to medical school during my military service because it's a long training and you don't make much money in Israel. And it's getting to be here as well. But in Israel, it's already HMO. So not much money, but yet you spend many years training. On the other hand, I said, oh, don't worry, you'll find a nice gentleman, you'll get married, have kids, you'll forget about medical school. So when I came out I was discharged from the military, I had my guards up. I didn't want to meet anybody, I didn't want to get into a relationship. And sure enough, I met my husband on the first weekend I was discharged from the military. But I didn't want to invest my heart, my time, my life in somebody that won't be serious, right? So I truly believe in setting expectations from the beginning. And so when we met, and more than once, and I told him straightforward, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do laundry, and I'm going to medical school. That didn't scare him. So we got married, and we came back to the U.S. He is American who immigrated to Israel, and then we came to the U.S. and I did my undergraduate. Well, there's a story behind every step here that I went through. But before my college, you learn English as a second language in a different country, and you think you got it, but it's a language. Unless you use it, you can't really use it and speak it fluently. And so when I came here, I couldn't really speak English. And so I took 2 courses only during the first summer of my college years, and I took math because that's easy, and then biology because I wanted to see if I can't do biology, how I'm going to accomplish this. So I wanted to see how difficult, not if I can do it, but how difficult it will be. And so I sat in the biology class, and I had a professor that wouldn't stop talking, and I couldn't understand even one word, a lot of terminology. We'll turn to the board and continue writing and talking, and I sat there and I'm like, am I supposed to get an A in this class? I can't even understand one word. And so I went to the bookstore and I got a tape recording, and then I went and locked myself in the library for hours and hours until they closed it every day until nighttime, and started to literally transcribe every word that he said, and with a big dictionary, not smartphone. We didn't have that. Big dictionary trying to figure out each word, each term, what it meant, and then that's how I learned English. I had the best notes, and like you saw, many people get summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, and honors program, and the honors thesis. Mine was in Bethesda and NIH. But my goal in showing you what I was able to accomplish is because even I could do it without any language. If you want it enough, you can make it happen. And remember that. If you want it enough, you can make it happen. And so that was my undergraduate, and I always like to set goals. And so I wanted to become a surgeon from very early on, and I wanted to have 4 kids. My mother had 4 kids. It really worked for us very well. I have been one sibling of 4. And so I wanted my kids to have the same opportunities and enjoyment, especially when I have such a career. I felt guilty if I don't do it. And so I had to plan my family. And so what I did is the first two kids I brought during my undergraduate. And when I'm talking about planning, I had a month to 2 months to get pregnant, and I had, whoever wants to get pregnant, just come talk to me. So in a month or 2 months to get pregnant, and then I always I believe in breastfeeding, so I had 2 months to breastfeed, and then I had to lose the weight quickly because there's always the next interview for medical school or residency, and God forbid if they know that I have kids at home or that I'm pregnant, it decreases my chances that they will invest in me, especially at that time. So I had to hide everything. Everything had to be planned and controlled. And that was my undergraduate. Then medical school, I started medical school. I had a son that was 1 year and 5 months old. I had a 2-month-old daughter, and my husband started law school. So just when everybody tells you it can't happen, you're going to get a divorce, it's never going to happen. If you want it enough, you're going to make it happen. And so that was my medical school. During medical school, I had my 3rd child, and during residency, I had my 4th child. And so surgical residency, you have to consider the family and where they want to be, and yet try to choose a good program, which I did, and then followed up with a fellowship in minimally invasive surgery and liver, pancreas, gallbladder, upper GI, as well as GI endoscopy. Why am I repeating what you already heard? Is because minimally invasive surgery is doing everything laparoscopically. Well, we took it, and I'll show you in a second, to the next level, doing, instead of multiple incisions, just one single incision, we're doing the exact same operation with even better outcomes. But now doing the GI endoscopy, where I'm putting instrument through the mouth and a scope into the organ. So laparoscopy is looking outside the organ and operating that way. Now I'm putting instrument through the mouth into the organ and doing operation that way. Then it's the ultimate minimally invasive approach to surgery, and that kind of training allowed us to do this. And so currently I'm at the Florida Hospital, Tampa, and let me tell you, that was the best decision I've made in my surgical career to date. They have a wonderful vision, and they're really very patient-centered. They're great people all the way from the staff to the executives, people like John Harding, Bridget Shaw, and Dick Tibbetts, and they're all wonderful people. And let me tell you, when you go every day to work, and every day is a sunny day, you're very lucky. Florida Hospital hired my partner, my mentor, my colleague, and my partner, Dr. Alexander Rosmagi, and myself to build the Southeastern Center for Digestive Disorders and Pancreatic Cancer. And what they also allowed us to bring, and they hired 25 staff members, and with a whole team for research, we are able to publish 10 to 20 publications a year, and that's because of the work and the vision that they had. We handle all kinds of conditions, medical conditions, and we truly use minimally invasive surgery, surgical approaches to all of these diseases. And in fact, we're about to hire a very innovative, minimally invasive colorectal surgeon, and have great plans for speech and swallowing center, which will be the largest in the southeast area. So there are great plans, great potentials, and we're very excited. It's an exciting time for us. This is just a few pictures to show you that you can have career and obviously family. This is my baby Justin, is 7 years old. My daughter Stephanie, she's 12. It's a period where she likes the black and white pictures. Then there is Nicole. Nicole is 16 years old, and Aran, who's 18, and he's starting college in the summer. Just a few words about my practice. The practice is really very patient-centered, but with embracement of technology and innovation. There are two parts to our practice. One is clinical and one is research. So you heard before laparoscopic single-site surgery. What it means, if you're very familiar with conventional laparoscopy, multiple incisions, as I mentioned before, and doing the operation. Now, by embracing technology, we're able to work with very small instruments, very small scope, through single incision, like I'm talking about a centimeter incision over the already existing anatomical scar and the umbilicus. And we do this operation without leaving you without any apparent scar, because we went over already existing scar. But we believe that it goes beyond having no scar. It's about having less pain. If you have less incision, less risk of hernia, less risk of wound infection, less risk of pain. And that's really important, because if you have less pain, you have a faster return to normal activities. We also believe that patients want and they seek elegant operation, therefore by an elegant surgeon. But they also like to have choices. I know I would like to have choices. Well, when you come to our practice, you'll see, because the embracement of technology, you can have robotic, you can have single incision, you can have general anesthesia, you can have epidural, whatever you want. I mean, it's a menu of how you would like to have your gallbladder out. And I think that's important. This is just, I try to not show you. I have plenty of videos, and whoever wants to be more technical, YouTube. You can YouTube it or go to our website, and there are great videos there. But this is just to show you how we do this operation. Although it looks like a large port there with the instrument going through, it's very small. And what it is all about, it's about having no apparent scar. You can have nowadays, if you are in our hands, we can go to the emergency room and they tell you, well, you don't have a gallbladder. I don't know where it came out of, but you have no gallbladder. So you have to convince them that you actually had an operation. We also work with a different industry, like Intuitive here, where everybody heard about robotics. Well, we're trying to push robotic to single incision, an FDA-approved single incision for robotics for hysterectomy, removing the uterus, and cholecystectomy, removing the gallbladder. But we're trying to work with the engineers as well to help develop this single incision robotics and apply it to all different operations, just like we did with single incision laparoscopy. The interesting thing about, and the unique thing about robotics, is you can apply different things. For instance, we all know the risk of removal of the gallbladder with cutting the common bile duct, right? The biliary tract here can be easily seen by just injecting a dye. And so the robot can show that to you. You also can have a concept like a surgeon in Europe that can help you here in Tampa at the same time. Can teach other fellows how to do the operation, and you have all kind of neat toys to play with. Let me tell you, when you sit comfortably, I sit barefoot on the robot, I sit comfortably, everything ergonomically is perfect. I mean, all I'm missing is a latte, and I'm good. I'm really good. Let's say a few things about research. I have 15 minutes to talk about my life and my experience, so I'm going fast. Research. Now, I mentioned before that we publish about 10 to 20 publications a year. But we also have a summer research program that my partner and colleague, Dr. Rose McGee, started several years ago and was very successful. And we take up to 25 students. Those students can be undergraduate students, graduate students, medical students, residents, and fellows. Anybody that, all the way from undergraduate to graduate students that want to learn more and experience, be exposed to medicine and surgery in particular, to medical students who want to see should they choose a career in surgery, to residents and fellows that need to bulk up their CV so they'll have more chances of getting into good programs. Whatever the reason is, what this program provides them is with how to collect database, how to analyze the database, how to write an abstract, how to write a manuscript. It gives them some exposure to our clinical practice, seeing patients in clinics, seeing patients in the hospital, come into the operating room. By the time they finish our program, they can make an informed decision whether they want to go into surgery or not. And I personally believe that exposure is very important because then there are no disappointments and no time wasting time. And when I talk about really those kids being productive, those are just some of the publications. And it's not, I'm not showing this to you to show you what they wrote about, because it's usually related to what we do, but how many publications they've had. I mean, this is just, it's going and going and going. This is kids that, you know, are not professionals yet. Now, why do I mention the research program? Because back in 2009, we started to have some more women joining the program. And they were very curious about surgery. There's a negative perception. It's too aggressive, too tough. You'll never have a life. And so they asked questions. So we decided to have an event at my house where we just sent an evite to some of the local students. We brought attending surgeons, some residents and fellows. Let me tell you, the day was the evening was very long. They were just, you know, completely excited about having been able to sit with surgeons and just talk about their future. And we had 100 100 students who RSVP'd, and 100% of them actually showed up. So then we started to look at wow is right, especially with students. You know, so statistics. What are the statistics? Since 1969, we noticed that there's increase in number of women entering medical schools, right? Today, even more than 50% of the medical students are women, but a very small percentage choose a career in surgery. Why? So we wrote a survey. The survey is about medical students, second-year medical students, and what is the perception of surgery, and why don't or do they choose a career in surgery, which we know they don't. We engaged 9 other universities from around the country to fill this survey by second-year medical students. And why second-year medical students? Because second-year medical students are not exposed to clinical rotations yet. They haven't even met surgeons. So this is purely perception. And so what we found is that despite all the changes that occurred since the early days, where it was really tough and aggressive and very, very male-dominated, still male-dominated, but extremely male-dominated, to a less male-dominated field, the negative perception continues to be there. And so why? And especially by students that were not exposed to clinical experience. Part of the reason was lifestyle. But I'll get to the other part in a second. When we asked them what do we need to do to change the negative perception, one of the common answers were early exposure to surgeons and positive role models. But more than more, what we notice is the lack of women role models in surgery, which was a big barrier. That's when we came up with the Women in Surgery Career Symposium. And our vision was to promote both personal and professional growth for women interested in surgery, to help women who are already surgeons excel in surgery while balancing family and career, to foster mentorship as well as a peer network for current and future women in surgery, and to provide a forum to discuss contemporary issues and opportunities for women who have chosen or may choose a career in surgery. The target audience really include surgeons, physicians, fellows, residents, medical students, graduate students, and undergraduate students. The first Women in Surgery Symposium was a great success. We had women coming from 25 different states. It was unbelievable. It was in St. Petersburg. The second annual Women in Surgery event was in Clearwater, and we had women from 30 different states, and it was truly unbelievable. It took a life of its own, and we were very surprised. Even for people from Japan have showed up in the event. So it really, the word has been spreading, and now by the second one, we had all kind of letters and evaluations asking us to move this event around the country, because more and more people want to attend it but can't afford it, and it's just hard to get there. So indeed, last year we did it in Baltimore at Hopkins. Hopkins hosted our event, and it was a huge success. They tried before with Women in Surgery. It wasn't very successful. This became the biggest Women in Surgery event in the world. We had women from everywhere. We have women from Europe. We have women from Japan. We have women from everywhere. And the common denominator was surgery. And this is just more pictures from the third annual Women in Surgery Symposium, just to show you just all different ages and different looks. I was very proud when I saw this happening. The fourth annual Women in Surgery Career Symposium is going to be this year in San Francisco, hosted by UC San Francisco, as you see here, between June 7th and 9th. And this is just to show just a little information regarding the plenary session as a whole. I think there is a brochure somewhere around here for whoever is interested, but it talks about the global look at women in surgery, how to overcome the boys club mentality in surgery, how to promote yourself in 60 seconds, and career paths, what is best for me. As well, we talk about network opportunities. And even there's some fun moments that are more just informative, but rather we have like an image consultant who's going to talk about how to embrace femininity into a very male-dominated field. And so we have like residents and fellows and women attending surgeons who the image consultant is going to dress and show them how to dress professionally, yet very feminine way, very feminine way. Which right now, if you look at most surgeons, women surgeons, we always were told to look and to blend in, don't look different. Well, I don't like that. And I think that most women should start to feel more comfortable to be themselves, bring femininity into the field. We have a lot to add to this field. Where we will be next year is in Capitol Hill, where everything is like now that we have plans for the next 3 years, because every state wants us to bring it over, and every city wants to be the city. So it's been very nice, and the purpose again is to increase awareness and promote our vision. And what's most important are that women can be successful surgeons. We all believe it, truly. I personally truly believe in that. And therefore, surgery is not just a job for men. I'd like to end with a quote from Golda Meir, Prime Minister of in the old days of Israel. And she once said, "Trust yourself. Create the kind of self that you will be happy to live with all your life. Make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement." Thank you.
Wow, one thing just kept going through my mind as she was speaking, and I know for many of you in the audience, the same thing had to be happening. Listening to the doctor's speech, I was like, she just makes me want to be a better woman. Doesn't she just make you want to be a better? Thank you for that. It was inspirational. Talking about overcoming challenges, she talked about hard work, dedication, and determination, and that's how she did it. And she's passing that on now to young people. And even for me, the beginning of her speech, I'm not married. She said, so you can say you don't cook or clean, we'll do laundry. So I was like, okay, that's something else I can remember. Gosh, what an inspirational speech. And one thing, of course, at the end of the event, if you guys want to talk to the doctor at the end or any of our panelists, you can. Something I was wondering about as she was talking, you talked about the negative perception that the students have, which unfortunately affects the pipeline of women surgeons. I wondered about negative perceptions from patients. Do you have patients with negative perceptions who would rather have a male surgeon than a female surgeon, or a male doctor than a female doctor? And I wondered if that was something, too, that is still a problem. So that's something I'll have to ask her afterwards. Wow, so what a moving speech and an inspiration. Thank you. Feeling inspired and uplifted, right? Thank you. That was awesome. So before moving on to the awards portion of our program, special recognition, in keeping with the theme of celebrating women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, we would like City of Tampa female employees in those career fields to take a moment to stand and be recognized for your hard work and dedication. Please stand. Yes. Thank you. Also role models in helping young people see that you have more options than perhaps what's been shown on television or what may be in your background, your home, expanding their horizons. So today, in addition to the Josephine Howard Stafford Memorial Award, we're also excited today to partner with MacDill Air Force Base in recognizing one very special woman. To introduce our distinguished award recipient representing MacDill Air Force Base is Colonel Kelly Martin, Vice Wing Commander. Now I want to say really quick as she comes up so that you can understand what that means. It's very important. The Wing's overall mission is to provide the worldwide air refueling and combatant commander airlift support. In addition to the support of U.S. Central Command, also U.S. Special Operations Command, and 36 other mission partners stationed at MacDill Air Force Base. So we're pleased to have these men and women. We're pleased that they call Tampa Bay home. Please join me in welcoming Colonel Martin.
Thank you, Erica. And thank you, Dr. Ross, for that. I am truly inspired. It is quite an honor to be here amongst such phenomenal women here both on the stage as well as in the audience. It is truly an honor. I feel like I've got the best job in the world because every day I get up and I work with the most amazing men and women at MacDill Air Force Base. And it is a wonderful chance to be able to come here and talk a little bit about one of our airmen in particular. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about her before I bring her up on stage and give her this award. Captain Marlo Peliquin is one of our aircraft commanders for KC-135. That's an air refueler that goes up and gives gas to other airplanes up in the sky. She's also an assistant flight commander, so she has some officership type duties where she's running programs there in her squadron. She has flown over 29 combat sorties. That's over in the CENTCOM area of responsibility, Afghanistan, Iraq area, delivering over 1.6 million pounds of fuel. And just to kind of put that in perspective, if we had 1 million people go drive their cars for 35 years, that's about how much gas that would be for you. So it's a lot. She gave that out to 69 different aircraft from multiple nations that were partnering with us. And part of this, there were 5 special operation missions. So our special operations warriors on the ground, her refueling directly impacted what they were doing on the ground. In addition, she's participated in an exercise that we call Red Flag out at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. And that is where we bring all of our air forces, both from the United States as well as internationally as well, and we practice and we test new systems and new operational techniques before we then take it over and employ them in the combat arena. She's overcome multiple in-flight emergencies to include 2 engine failures, 5 hydraulics and navigational failures, all of this while continuing to ensure that she had 100% mission effectiveness. I'm here to tell you she is a darn good pilot. And I will tell you, I've even had the pleasure of flying with her, and I can tell you from personal experience that she is one of the best. But she doesn't just stop right there. She has continued. She's very involved with the Tampa community. So she's gone out with Habitat and Humanity, numerous hours with that program, as well as volunteered mentoring 150 of our cadets at the University of Florida that are going to be then our next round of leaders in the Air Force. And then she is also starting to train and educate our next pilots, our future pilots, by giving tours of our KC-135 to over 150 students at the local elementary and high schools. Of course, all of this while she herself continued in her own education, as she just in October finished her Master's of Aeronautical Science and graduated with a perfect 4.0 GPA. So, yes, absolutely. So please, come on up, Captain Peloquin. Join me in congratulating her, the 2013 Women's History Month Achievement Role Model of the Year Award.
Wow is the word of the day. It just keeps running through my mind. Gosh, thank you for your service and your dedication. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Colonel Martin, for that amazing introduction. Gosh, I said you'd feel inspired, but I really didn't know how inspired. I didn't know how inspired, and it just keeps getting better, doesn't it? It just keeps getting better. Now we've come to a very special section of the program, the presentation of the Josephine Howard Stafford Memorial Award. Now it was established back in 1997 to honor a current or former City of Tampa female employee who demonstrates outstanding commitment to her position and to the community, both. So in the office and in the community. And the award recognizes a woman who is a pioneer in her profession or excels in a career field or professional level where women are underrepresented. Now, this award is given in memory of Ms. Stafford, who devoted 24 years to the City of Tampa. As an assistant city attorney, she was a pioneer for women's issues, both professionally and at home in the community. And to introduce this year's honoree is our 2012 recipient, Captain Susan D. Tammy from Tampa Fire Rescue. Please come up.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm very honored to introduce this year's recipient, Catherine Barja. And I'm going to take a few moments to give you a little history of her. Catherine Barja was born in New York City and moved to Tampa in 1946. Her future was not all diminished by her visual impairment, which was discovered at an early age. During her school years, there were no special accommodations or talking books. Yet, she still managed to skip a grade and graduate early from Hillsborough High School in 1949, where she shared a homeroom with former Mayor Bill Poe. She credits her family with inspiring her despite her failing eyesight. Her mother would encourage her by saying, "Well, do you want to do it? Go ahead and do it and find another way." She and her husband, Fred, were married in 1950. They bought a home in Sulphur Springs and also set up a body shop. Ms. Barja defied stereotypes and traditions of the time by taking an active role in business. Not only did she do all of the office work, but she also worked on cars. She even fixed cars while expecting her first child. She later went on to own a wig shop. The Barja's involvement in politics stemmed from their dissatisfaction with the conditions in their area. When Miss Barja saw something she didn't like in her Sulphur Springs neighborhood, she always did something about it, and her husband encouraged her to turn her gripes into a run for office. Ms. Barja first ran unsuccessfully for the Tampa City Council, District 7 in 1967. In 1971, she successfully ran for that same seat, this time defeating the incumbent to become the first woman city council member. She was the acting chairman pro temp of the council from 1974 through October 1974. In 1975 election, she won the District 7 seat with almost 80% of the votes. Yeah, that's amazing. On September 12, 1978, Ms. Barja resigned to run for the Hillsborough County Commission. In 1986, Perry Harvey Jr. nominated Ms. Barja to fill the City Council District 1 vacancy when Sandra Freeman became acting mayor. She held that position until 1987. Ms. Barja let nothing, neither her gender nor her disability, hinder her. She said of being the first woman on City Council, it was and it wasn't different. Because of being the first, I felt like I was living in a fishbowl. Her visual impairment went unnoticed by colleagues and the media. During her time on City Council, people didn't realize it, even when she met with editorial boards. Ms. Barja joked that she carried a white cane for over 15 years, folded up in her purse. She recalls going to pick up the City Council agenda days before the meeting and reviewing it with her magnifier. She would frequently jump out of her coveralls, get cleaned up, and dressed before heading to City Council meetings, frequently taking public transportation due to her visual impairment. Among her proudest achievements during her City Council tenure was orchestrating the donation of land and building what would become the original Mickey McGuire Recreation Center and serving as the first chair of the Metropolitan Planning Organization. After retiring from politics, Ms. Barja focused on helping other local politicians with their campaigns and on traveling. During her many years in Tampa, she has been involved in community organizations, too numerous to mention them all, but they included the Democratic Women's Club of Florida, the League of Women Voters, Women's Political Caucus, and the Transportation Disadvantaged Committee. She continues to be actively involved in the Corpus Christi Ladies Guild, serving as vice chair of her condominium association, and is a lifetime member of the Federation for the Blind. As she says, I have to keep my fingers in the pie. Ms. Barja was close to Josephine Howard Stafford, so this gives this honor a very special meaning. She's the proud mother of 3 children, Fred Jr., John, and Benita. She's the grandmother of 8 and the great-grandmother of another 8. Many of her family members join her here today. When asked about her legacy of service, Ms. Barja summed it up with one simple sentence. I can say it's a blessing to serve. And I'm thinking we're thankful that she does. So if you'll join me now in honoring Ms. Barja to present the award. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and honor to introduce you to the 2013 Josephine Howard Stafford Memorial Award recipient, the very deserving Catherine Barja. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome and so deserving.
When I was contacted by Jen from the committee that's worked so very hard to put this program together today and told me that this was going to happen, I was just blown out of the water. I was never one to be patting myself on the back or looking for others to do it. I just wanted to get out there and help. And I did things a little bit different on City Council because many of my constituents would call And they'd say, we have such and such a problem. And I said, okay, give me your address. And next thing you know, since I couldn't see to drive, I dragged either my husband of one of my 3 children, which 2 of them are here in the audience today, and we'd go and visit with the constituents one-on-one. Well, it surprised a lot of folks. They never thought that would happen. And I can tell you, it's just been, it was such a blessing to have the opportunity to try to give something back for all of the many blessings that was bestowed upon me and my family. And as a new member, a freshman member of City Council, I started, we had 3 new members that year. It was Joe Chalura, and Joe Cotvis, and myself. And all 3 of us overcame strong incumbents that year. But it started friendships that have lasted a lifetime. And it's Charlie Miranda back out there. Yeah, Charlie. Charlie came on board in '75, but we got exposed to politics a little bit sooner than that. And Charlie and his lovely wife, Shirley, and his kids, my kids over here, they all kind of grew up together. And to you folks with Fire Rescue, I can say this, as a new member of City Council in 1991, the man we elected as chairman of council was a very close friend who unfortunately is no longer with us because we lost him in '75, and that was our former chairman and then acting mayor, Dick Cheney. But when I came on council, the first thing, as soon as we elected Dick Cheney as the chairman of council, he came to me first of all of the other members of City Council and said, Kathy, which committees do you want to chair? And I said, well, my main interest was 2 areas. First on the list was public safety. Our EMS people, our firefighters, our police officers. And some of it came because of meeting people, and the old-timers in fires would remember Al McCaskill, who was a wonderful first aid instructor. And both my husband and I became first aid instructor under his tutelage, and we were working all the time with emergency personnel with our business. But that was my first little star up there that I wanted to achieve. The second was to work towards better transportation. Transportation for the people who rode buses, transportation for people who are disabled. And I had the opportunity to serve for 11 years on the Hillsborough County Transportation Disadvantage Board, that we do set policy, and we have a wonderful system with sunshine lines. Of course, those were the days before ADA, and you had to have such transportation. And I've been very happy to also work with the folks from Heartline. And if you ask me how I got here this morning, well, it wasn't on the bus, because unfortunately, as I have aged, I I have lost much more of the sight that was already impaired. And I've had other medical problems that's kind of held me back a little bit. But I've had the privilege of working with the people from Heart Plus and paratransit. And it's just, everything, it's been wonderful. And to know so many people through the years, to actually, go to Tallahassee once a year and lobby the legislature. Other folks were walking in sometimes from our committees, and they shake hands. Kathy Bettencourt out there remembers that, and so does Doris Weatherford. Many times we rubbed elbows in Tallahassee, and others would walk in and meet their legislator or their state senator for the first time. I'd walk in the office and I'd be hugging someone because these were all such wonderful people that I was able to relate to one-on-one. And one of the things, a lot of times, and you see it today, you watch C-SPAN and you get very sometimes upset on what's going on in the Congress and what's going on in the U.S. Senate. Well, yeah, you can write letters and you can write emails and you can fuss all you want, but up there in D.C., they're going to do what they want. However, if you have a problem and it can be solved here at home, I've told people the first people you need to think of when you register to vote, get to know your members of city council, your county commissioners, your legislative members, your representatives. Because guess what? You can call them people up, make appointments, and you can see and you can meet them and you can talk with them and you can get results. You can't just call up the White House and say, I want you to do this. The action becomes right here at home. And Tampa has continued to grow. And we have had some of the most wonderful mayors in the last 40 years. And each one has made our city grow a little more. And we reach out to everyone. And I just want to say, this award, I knew Josephine Stafford for well over 12 years or so before I ever ran for political office. And we were close friends for many, many years. And this award just means so much to me. And I thank every single one of you who came, all the folks that worked to make this happy. I'm going to turn around and use a little privilege and say, well, my family and close relatives that are sitting there in the front over there, just stand up and wave to everybody. And the one other group that I would like to thank, it's our group from MacDill Field. I have my son who is sitting over here, who is an eye doctor with the James A. Haley VA, going on 16 years in that position. Prior to that, he spent 15 years in the U.S. Air Force, and his last assignment was MacDill, and he did get to do a humanitarian overseas stint, a TDY to Ethiopia with CENTCOM. So, you know, as I kind of want to close and give other folks up here the recognition they deserve, but I want to say with each one of you, if we'll think about it, and God bless all of our wonderful people that are overseas, willing to give their all so our country can remain free and so we can continue to voice our likes and dislikes in politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. There's so many lessons here in how to be better people, right? Something that stuck out for me that just kept resonating. She said, I just wanted to help. I wanted to help. So many lessons. Congratulations, Mrs. Barja. Thank you. And thank you for introducing your family. I was going to have them stand if you did not do that. So thank you all for coming. This has been a wonderful program, right? This has been wonderful. Inspiring. MacDill can't be mentioned enough because I'm going to actually thank you again for being one of our program participants, MacDill Air Force Base. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully you're getting those thanks when you're in the airport, when you're in the grocery store, when you're just walking around. Hopefully people are doing that too, more and more. Also, the Women's History Month Planning Committee for making this happen. Please stand and be recognized, the Planning Committee. Thank you. So, you know, we want to mention one last thing. When I was at Motorola, I'll never forget my mentor and operations manager. He was upset that engineers were coming in a little after 8:30, just a little bit. We stayed late to work, though. We did stay late to work. He was reading this business book. He said, guys, perception is everything, manage it. That was a big business phrase. I need you here before 8:30. Perception is everything, manage it. So it's not just how hard you work. There's a perception that we all have to work on. And so during the month of March, you can help women re-entering the workforce with perception. We would like you, if you have at home, some suits, gently. There's a Dress for Success program that the city of Tampa is doing right now. They're collecting this for the Dress for Success programs, helping women re-enter the workforce. That's along with perceptions. So any clothes you have, gently used, please make sure they're clean and on hangers. During the month of March, there's several sites. I want to read them out to you. The 5th floor of the Tampa Municipal Office Building, Solid Waste Department, Construction Services Center, also Columbus Municipal Office Building. Please, please, please support this worthy cause. That's very important for women trying to get back into the workforce, so we ask for your help. Also, the display in the lobby, take a look at it. Phenomenal women, historical figures making a difference. We want you to take a look at it. I think it'll remain on display in the mascot room, thank you, for Old City Hall during the month of March. It'll be there for your viewing. Also, you can visit the Hillsborough County Women's Hall of Fame display, something we should go take a look at. Now, it's in the main entrance of the Convention Center, and on March 28th, very important, 3 new inductees to the Hall of Fame, Dottie Berger McKinnon, Jewel Smith, and the late Deanne Roberts. We all congratulate them as well. Yes. And one very important note before we close, the beloved Tampa historical figure, Clara Fry. Clara Fry will be inducted into the Florida Women's Hall of Fame tomorrow. So congratulations to her. That concludes our event. As we move forward, it's going to get bigger and better until we don't need it anymore, right? We're working on those perceptions. We don't want to have the Women's History Month. We want to be equals and want to make sure that our history is everyone's history. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the event. Thank you.